Hello, my friends. Today we're going to talk about why you haven't started the thing that you desire, why you haven't taken steps towards your goal, towards your dream, and why you wake up every day on that hamster loop thinking, why can't my life be different? Yet you feel like you're playing Groundhog's Day every day. I'm Katie, and I help women reconnect to their power and remember the divine within you so that you can create a beautiful life from the inside out. So let's talk about why you're not doing the things that will lead you to the life you desire. Chances are you have a lot of desires. You have things deep within you. Maybe you feel like they're not actually real. Maybe you think they're just too out of reach. Often we get so programmed to think the deep desires within us, maybe for like a beautiful, loving relationship, maybe for the job of your dreams, maybe to live somewhere that seems like heaven on earth. Maybe all of these things, these desires we have that we do not have in our reality today, oftentimes we think they're unavailable to us. Oftentimes we get stuck in our ego mind, the protective self. What happens is that our nervous systems become familiar with whatever we grew up with, whatever is our norm. That's our comfort zone. So we live out of that familiarity. So if you have a lot of toxic dysfunction around you, or you're trying to get out of that, or you're trying to take steps towards what you want, but your nervous system still feels like this is what it knows, you're going to have a really hard time going towards something outside what your nervous system has known as familiar. Everything we act out of is from our deep programmed subconscious. Your beliefs will determine whether or not you go for your dreams. Okay? What happens is you see somebody get a goal, have a desire. I want to get fit. I want to lose 20 pounds. And they perpetually, we all know those people. The people who are about to start a weight plan, they're about to go on a diet, they have a new thing, and they end up for years cycling the next thing. It's always externally focused, getting the motivation, doing the thing, figuring out all the steps first. And that's the ultimate trap. I got stuck there for years. I was so stuck wanting to do so many things. I wanted to speak, I wanted to write, I wanted to become more visible so that I could share and I could empower women. But I had the identity programmed from very young that I was not worthy to be visible, that I didn't have anything of importance to share. Because from a young age, my mind was programmed from being wounded that I wasn't inherently valuable. So I grew up and I had these deep desires within me, but I felt like this wall when I would go to take steps. And my ego, that protective primal part of us, comes in. Julia Cameron, in The Artist's Way, she calls it the censor. It's that censor, the loud voice comes in and says, you can't do that. And it's almost like it demotivates us. It's like the bully in our mind. That's like, who do you think you are to do that? What do you think you're doing? You don't have the answers. You don't know all the steps. And what we do is, out of fear, we listen to the voice and we say, it's true. I don't know how to do it. What's going to happen if I don't have certainty? We feel like we have to have certainty in order to take the next step. So we stay stuck in this loop, spinning our wheels every day, wondering, why can't I achieve the things that I desire? Why can't I just do it? It's because the things you desire are out of alignment with the way that you see yourself, with your deep programmed beliefs about who you are. See, here's the thing. Our beliefs are programmed into us at a very young age. The beliefs are stories we tell ourselves about who we are. We don't even do it consciously. They're the stories, the meaning we make from the situations we go through, largely when we're young. So we grow up and we have these beliefs, and then they lead to our thoughts and our emotions. And it's out of our emotions that we act. That's why you'll hear people say, I just need to get the motivation. Once I'm motivated, I'll do it. Motivation is a feeling. And it's true, we do act out of our feeling. If I'm going to start this goal, I need to feel propelled towards it. But if I don't have a belief that supports me becoming visible, if I believe that I'm not worthy to be visible, I will have a really hard time taking consistent action towards the thing I want. That's the law of sustainment. We will not be able to sustain any action that's out of alignment with what we believe about ourselves. So if you are someone that you know that you're made for more, and we are all made for more, but you have something that's just been on the edge for years. Maybe you wanted to start a YouTube channel and you're waiting. Once I have this next step, then I'm going to feel comfortable. You're stuck in waiting for comfort to come to you. And that, my love, is the trap. In order to go into the next level, to actually move into who you're supposed to be and achieve the amazing things that you are made for, you have to choose to take this familiar comfort zone that your nervous system is in and take yourself out of it. See, we have zones of tolerances. See, our bodies want to stay in this place of homeostasis. It's just how we're wired. It's how we're made to self-protect. And it's beautiful, and it's how our body functions. And there's nothing wrong with it. But you living in a comfort zone of homeostasis will never allow you to progress into greater realms to achieve the fullness of who you and your soul came here to be. Your primal mortal body wants to keep you safe and comfortable and alive. And we're so used to only living there. That's the difference between you and the person who's doing the things you want to do. They're not more worthy than you. They don't have something that you don't. They make the consistent choice to put their bodies into the discomfort of the unknown and to create a new familiar reality. And that feels painful. See, we feel that as pain, to get uncomfortable, to start doing the thing that I'm terrible at when I don't know how to do it. For years, I would read about writing and speaking, and I would just study. But you know what I didn't actually do? I didn't actually practice it. I didn't actually just start and put out my jumbled, messy stuff because I was afraid that it would confirm my worst fear. And I didn't know what I was going to do if I felt that. It would validate, oh my gosh, see, it would validate that belief. See, you're not worthy to be any of these things that you desire. We are just afraid that that belief about us will be validated. But you don't have to live with that root belief. You can move through that discomfort and know that failure along the way means that you are progressing. Failure is feedback. And needing to have the certainty in the how-tos, that is just living in a state of fear. You do not have to have all the steps to start your dream. All of us as humans, we have this, and it's protective. It's your fear that's saying, you need to know 10 steps down the line. You don't. You don't. You just need to choose to trust. Trust the inner voice, because there is a higher self within you. And that is the one, that is the true divine within you that guides you to the next step. When you choose to align your beliefs, when you say, no, I am a writer, I am an author, I am a loving partner, and you begin to become that new belief, you will then begin to act out of that new belief. I want you to think about children. Children do not wait for things to be right, to be perfect. They don't plan out their creative process. They don't plan out when they're going to learn. You don't see a toddler learning to walk, watching YouTube videos, waiting for instructions. We watch them. We watch them crawl on their belly and then sort of get their arms up, and they're practicing and they're wiggling and they're trying to just put themselves into this whole idea of walking. But they don't start out running across the kitchen floor. They start out wiggling on their butt or just on their belly or moving one arm at a time. It's so funny actually when you watch babies all have their own ways to learn how to crawl. I had one that scooted on his butt and he pushed his leg. I had another that army crawled for a while. This is what we don't allow ourselves to do as adults. And this is the path to go where we want. When you learned how to ride a bike, you didn't have 10 steps to learn. You might have watched somebody a few times, but then there was a point where you had to take that bike to the training wheels off, and you had to decide to get on and just go. You didn't know what it was going to feel like to have to learn how to balance. You had to, in the moment, embrace that fear and discomfort and ride it out. Did you fall? Probably. I did. I remember the first couple times I rode my bike, I crashed into the neighbor's fence. But today, I'm a pretty good bike rider. I've done a lot of biking. And I always remember that crashing into the neighbor's fence and knocking a piece of the fence off. And that is how we are supposed to go. But we have gotten so stuck as adults. We end up living in that fear and comfort zone. And we're afraid to fail. And I think a lot of it is the way that we're programmed to be in school. And we're programmed in our society, in our culture, to believe that failure means unworthiness. I mean, if you look at inventors and people, all of the people throughout history who have made great gains for us in society, how many failures they had along the way, how many ways that they had to just do this messy work and to figure it out. So you don't need to know the how-tos. You don't need to have it all figured out. And I know I'm being repetitive, but humans, as women, we have gotten so imprisoned by this idea that we have to know all the steps. And I stayed caged behind this limitation for years. You just need to start. And when you start, you're going to be so shocked by the confidence that you build. Are you going to fall? Yeah. Are you going to be triggered when you fall, when you fail and have to figure out how to go forward in a different way? Yeah, it's triggering because we're going to have to face the discomfort of our root belief. And that's going to give us the opportunity to go in and say, you know what? I believe I'm inherently worthy, and I believe that I can do this when I keep going. And you're choosing faith. You're choosing to trust that this is the process to go towards your dreams. So many people, that's why we have a society and a world of adults living in deep depression and numbness and lost in their identity, because we have given up our creative minds to go to try, to fail, to invent, and to just see it all as feedback. If you're not willing to go into discomfort for your dreams, I would question if it's really a dream. You'll know if you really, really desire something. And for me, starting this channel, speaking out, I knew was born out of a deep desire to help humans, women like you. It came after my mom died and my marriage fell apart, and I was faced with every uncertainty, every failure, that everything I had believed about my identity. And I faced it all. I was scared as hell to think that maybe it proved once and for all that I was unworthy, that I was just broken, and I was just a less than worthy human being. But when I was sitting in the rock bottom of my life, it was like the biggest mirror, an invitation to say, well, are you going to keep waiting for the outside world to give you permission to live in the way that you want to live? Or are you going to decide to have your own back today and to choose to trust that there is something so much more, that you are made for more? And are you going to just get uncomfortable? Because the reality is, we often don't change until the pain of staying the same gets too much. But it is a decision. It is a decision. It's like a lot of times you'll hear people say the devil you know is better than the one you don't. Until what? Until the pain becomes too much. Because we only change out of desperation or inspiration. But oftentimes it is the desperation that pushes us to that tipping point where we have to jump because the fire is coming up behind us. So if you're in that rock bottom, or you're in that place where you feel so caged and you don't know how to go, but you feel like at least you know this and this is comfortable, but you're scared as hell to start that because what if you fail? Do it. What if you don't do it? See, that's the question I ask. If you don't start that thing, what will you be doing in a year or 2 years or 5 years? If you don't get out of that toxic relationship or end that cycle or move into a healthy place with these compulsions and addictions, if you don't start reprogramming your identity and start reparenting your wounds and heal those things, if you don't go and start going inside today, what's going to change? It won't change in the future. What kind of life will you have? It won't be the life that you desire. The only way forward is to move into the discomfort and to know, choose to believe that you are going to be held. And I want to leave you with this. This is the powerful truth that you must embody, that the universe has your back. The universe conspires for you to be abundant and to reclaim the fullness of who you are. And the universe, the divine, the beloved creator within you is conspiring for you to become all that you are meant to be and fulfill on this earth. And when you have those desires coming in you, it's going to require you to make the decision to move into the discomfort and not worry about every how-to. When the how-tos come and you're feeling strangled that you don't know the next step, you can simply say, I don't need to know the next step because I am held by a higher power of my understanding that will open the next door. It will bring me the next little spiritual breadcrumb, and I will have the way forward. It's about trust. So today, all you have to do is to say, I release the fear that I need to know, and I choose to step in to trust greater than my understanding and to know that I am held. So with that, I will end this episode, and I want to invite you guys to check out the next video on how to find your purpose if you enjoyed this one, where I go deeper into this idea of our life's work. I love you, you're worth it, and keep going.